Hey everybody, and welcome back to my Revel channel. So if you hear the rain, I do apologize. It's supposed to rain all day. But over the past couple of weeks, I dropped multiple recaps, and honestly, I think this is the most I've dropped in a week in general. And I had to scrap my original Married to Medicine recaps with fear that it wasn't going to be up to par, but it kind of worked out in my favor because some of the cast members or friends of the cast have gone out and did interviews with some of our favorite YouTube commentators. Now, we know Married to Medicine as a fast-paced, dramatic reality show that has like multiple moving pieces at once. So now I can give you a better analysis for season 9, and I welcome your feedback and opinions on the topic and what we want to see going forward. So you waited long enough, let's go ahead and get into it. Season 9 brought back all cast members from last year, and I thought this was a good idea. But before we get into the storylines, I want to start on a positive note. That's something I like to do here, and I want to talk about some of the women's accomplishments. We have Dr. Heavenly with Heavenly Beauty, we have Dr. Jack, and we have Dr. Contessa's Chastain Integrated Medicine. That was a mouthful. All of the women's businesses are doing really well, and it was showcased during the show. Then there's Toya Wine Club Company, Dr. Simone Skincare with the emphasis on body creams, and Quad Sass Seasoning Company. When it comes to Simone, Quad, and Toya, I do wish we would have seen those ventures a little more in the season, and if it was showcased, it had to be very subtle. And lastly, in Anila's case, we learned she's going to have a hair company coming soon. I haven't seen much about that, but I do want to say congratulations on doing the blogs and getting the sponsorships from multiple companies. So with that out the way, let's go ahead and get into the storyline. Each storyline is very unique and has this running theme of friends would never do this. These weren't in any particular order, but I want to start with Dr. Heavenly versus the cast. Now, this has social media debating a bit, and to me this storyline is like a double sword for how friends should be treated and how once somebody says something, it's there forever. So this season we've seen the cast take issue with some of the things Heavenly said on her YouTube channel, and Heavenly makes a lot of jokes with the cast feeling like it's at their expense. I mean, we have heard her say, Quad sleeps with married men. She joked about Simone making comments about her husband. She admits to saying Jackie is built like a boy. She said stuff about Toya's financial situation. She said Anila was like too dumb to like pull off a robbery by herself. She has said a lot of not so great things on her channel, and if this was any other show, we all would take issue with it. So yeah, she should cool it a bit, but on some of the cast, y'all like to play victim when it comes to the truth. And Heavenly just doesn't make jokes on her channel. She discusses the episodes and gives the behind the scenes and all the things that are left on the cutting room floor to give us more clarity. So this season we saw Contessa, Simone, and I believe Toya was a part of this as well, but they had an intervention where all the women would go to Contessa's and they would showcase the footage of what Heavenly has ever said about them and basically say, we want to be your friends, but you have to stop. We also seen at the reunion the women say their biggest issue with Heavenly is that she makes these comments on a large platform, but here's why I took issue with how some of the cast went about it. First thing first, it was literally everybody against one at the intervention. Secondly, you asked them to leave their phones at the front door, so it came off as you not wanting a few of them to warn her of what she was about to get into. The comments that y'all made at the reunion, all of you guys made comments on a public platform. Y'all actually reach more people than she does because everybody doesn't watch her YouTube channel. That compilation video only showed what she said and not the full spectrum, so of course it's gonna go in your favor because you're not getting the full thing across. I don't see an issue with Heavenly discussing what some of the women say on the show, and it's mainly because you brought it up. She discusses it and gives her feedback, kind of what Candy does on her channel or what many of us YouTubers, including myself, do. So she probably just doesn't have to go as far as she does sometimes. But Contessa, in this instance, this is a plot that you set up to come to us with the BS. And I say this because you took an issue with her talking about what happened last year when you brought it up. And Contessa both say that they had issues that began back in like season 8, after the reunion.
Heavenly has talked about us like dogs on her social media channel. Heavenly has called my marriage fake. Not only has Scott disrespected me, that he's abusive. Where do the insults end? And when does the friendship begin?
But during her interview with Funky Dineva, she said,
Me and her stopped talking June of 2021. Okay. This is November of 2022. Okay. So what happened was, and I'm sure if you watch the show, which is so funny, and then you listen on YouTube, we were talking, it was cool, then we started filming, we had an issue. No, we weren't talking before we started filming, and I'm quite sure that you even know exactly when it happened. So we had a little falling out because she went on her YouTube channel and she actually said, Simone should get fired.
Honestly, this season I can say I was tired of Contessa and the madness of trying to get the cast to then be on your side. I did watch the live that you're talking about, but honestly, she only spoke about what you gave as a storyline. She talked about, Scott and how he seemed to be, abusive, not physically, but emotionally.
We know that, and you know that. Do you know that? I know you know that.
Let her answer.
She knows that. She ain't gotta answer it.
No, she doesn't know that you have her back. That's the problem.
I know her. I know this woman's heart. I'm telling you. Do I not know your heart? Let me tell you. I know your heart. And you know my heart. right? We've been through hard. This ain't nothing. This a bump in the road.
Sorry, got y'all involved in
This a
this.
bump.
And that was super hard to watch. That came off as being emotionally abusive. So yes, we do have to hold both of the women accountable with the things that they say, but Contessa, you cannot blame Heavenly for your problems. You brought that to the show. While I do understand how it may feel for the world and, you know, a former friend to have these things to say about your husband, this is why you see everybody say you don't let everybody know your business, because when you moved on, they may not have. And side note, she says that her and Scott are learning to fight fair and they are working on their marriage. Everything is getting better. I felt like that would have been a great storyline to see from her versus her trying to do this, you know, heavenly issue type of thing. Then there was the alleged rumors when it comes to Sleepgate. But when it comes to the quad and the contractor thing, this rumor was revealed by Toya and Dr. Simone when they had a sit down with Contessa. And this was basically brought up after everything that happened at Quad's Christmas party. This led to us finding out that the man that Quad was allegedly seeing is a contractor and someone she's really good friends with, as well as his family. Quad did take a lie detector test at the reunion and she proved that, you know, she didn't do what the other women are speaking of. And Toya basically said, you know, this isn't admissible in court. I am not here for breaking up families or telling lies. We don't know how true this story was. And when it comes to this lie detector test, they can be cheated. And I'm not saying that is what Quad did, but I am only making this argument because Quad, I want to believe that you didn't do it. I also want to point out that in earlier seasons, y'all wouldn't take Mariah's drug test. So from my understanding, when you do the hair follicle thing, it can't be cheated, but y'all wouldn't let that vindicate her. So if that can't vindicate her, why should your test vindicate you? But I will say that for the hopes of the contractor's family, I pray that that's not true. Now, when we're talking about the Toya rumor, this storyline was so crazy and it has so much other things that have came out after the fact. During the season, Anila and Quad argued that there were women in Toya's neighborhood. They were trying to say that Toya was cheating on Eugene. So as soon as Anila walked into Quad's Christmas party, Heavenly said in her confessional she already knew everything was gonna go left because Anila brought Zaina, who is basically a former friend and neighbor of Toya. So at the reunion, Quad admitted that she invited her and she pushed the rumor more because she wanted to get back at Toya. She heard the rumor on a call with Anila and Anila roped Zaina in. This is never a good reason to tear somebody's family apart. And we also seen that Anila tried to say, you know, she was set up and that Quad was first with her when she heard the rumor and it happened at a lunch thing. And at first I thought maybe she was set up, but production, y'all came through. We also seen Zaina do an interview with DJ Richie Sky. Make sure you check out the full thing. She did talk about a lot of other things as well when it comes to backstories.
It's my friend's boyfriend, or her other half, who I don't want to mention the name, who Anila found out at a religious event in her house that they were having issues in their relationship, and they live in the neighborhood. So all that information together gave her a really good story to put together, and thought, here, let me rope Zaina in, because now when I look back at, you know, all the other meetings that we've had outside of the show, the lunch with Quad, the dinner that she arranged with, you know, Heavenly, all of that, and the questioning during that time, and what she's been saying to me to get my support. You know, playing victim the whole time.
So that is why we could be guessing, right? Is that why you think she was trying to call that specific friend to bring her to the party?
Correct.
Guys, it was all a lie. She lied.
Quad didn't tell a lie when it was Anila who actually started it all. And Anila may have been right by saying, you know, they found out about certain stuff at the lunch, but it was you who started the rumor. You, Quad, and Heavenly all knew about this before the party, but you pressured Zaina into riding with you to the party and trying to get the other friend to go. We also seen a clip of you saying, tell the rumor and all this other stuff because you did bring it up at the lunch. So it was a setup. She was brought there for a reason. I also found it odd that everyone pretty much said they don't even think Toya is even stepping out on Eugene. So that was so distasteful because if you don't even believe it, why are you repeating it? This rumor also kind of escalated some other stuff at the party because of lingering issues that's already there. So I do want to get into the Toya and Audra storyline. So Audra was basically a friend of the show, and I can't say I did like her dynamic there at first, so I do hope they bring her back. But when it comes to the drama between her and Toya, there is a lot to unravel. So in the beginning of the season, the women went to Vegas, and Toya would make comments about Audra not being a good attorney and, you know, her fashions, and Toya would continue to make little digs here and there after Vegas. So I will say, Toya, you can't be shocked when somebody else comes at you when you've been like picking at them. I will say that Toya was definitely wrong there, and I found a picture on social media of the Vegas trip, and this is the outfit that she was picking on Audra about. Quad looks just as comfortable as her, so what was the real problem? Audra also held on to that, and she chose to react to it at, you know, Quad's Christmas party. Now I can say you can't determine when somebody is going to retaliate, but the timing of her, you know, retaliation, it was a little off and it kind of fell flat, even though I believe she did not tell a lie. So at Quad's party, she brought up Toya lying about, you know, what she made off the home that she sold. Toya did say at the reunion, and she brought receipts, and she basically said, we made $1 million. But if what Audra said is true, you got to go back to the business basics. Revenue minus expenses. So if the liens on the home are true, Toya, you did not make $1 million, and it makes your storyline of why y'all moved iffy. Now I know some of y'all gonna say, you know, who cares? People really don't care. It's just the fact that you made that your storyline and you told us this was your dream home. So it's like, so why would you move? And y'all do move a lot. Now I will say Audra should have said something when, you know, Toya first came for her, or waited until she actually said something else, because it did fall flat. After Audra revealed the home details, she got into Toya's face, and emotions was already heightened from the Toya and Anila's back and forth. Audra was already in Toya's face. This happened. Audra, you should have never invaded Toya's personal space. Everyone was already on your side because of what Toya was doing, but now this is where you was in the wrong. Then we also seen Toya, Eugene, and Quad. So honestly, both of them have made comments and jokes about each other. So they both are wrong. And sometimes the jokes are funny, but at other times it is in very poor taste. But I will say that while they do go back and forth and Quad can be wrong, Eugene, the stuff that your wife said does not equate what Quad said. Toya had said some very distasteful things when it comes to your manhood and complaining about certain stuff. Them women are getting the jokes because of what Toya said. Now when it comes to the Quad thing, she did try to say that, you know, Toya was cheating on Eugene this year. In the past, she said they allegedly had a hit and run incident. So Quad does have to stop with this. I noticed something that she does on the show, and I don't know if you guys notice it, but let me know if you do or if you don't. She'll make up some storyline to get back at you just to hurt you, and it's like, that is never okay. We also seen this season that they talked about the dynamics of Toya and Eugene's marriage and how Toya was lonely. And I'm gonna be honest, I know a lot of people don't like Toya, but in this moment, I really felt for her because you can see it. And she tried to say she's not as lonely now, but when she said it, I was like, man, you can see it. So Eugene, it's like, you gotta step back, because he did change his job dynamic a little bit. But if you think about it and you think about all the stuff he's still doing when it comes to being in the medical field, it's a lot. And you can definitely see that it's starting to take a toll on them. Then there's the Sajas versus the Harrises. Now, Anila and Karen made jokes during the season, you know, around Halloween time, and they were basically poking fun and being movers when it comes to the Toya and Eugene thing, because they move a lot. In the beginning, the whole cast, except Eugene, thought it was funny. Even Toya took it in good strides and laughed, telling Anila, like, you know, you're obsessed with me. I will say I thought the joke was funny at first, but I can say if a friend says I don't find it funny, that's when you should pull it back. But I think the reason why Karen didn't pull it back is because they truly aren't friends. But I can say I think Eugene was only offended because the joke has some truth to it because of what Audra told us. There has to be some other underlying issues when it comes to that. And we also seen Curtis hop in, and I can say some people weren't here for Curtis hopping in, but he said something that was so true. He basically said that Karen's joke is so small compared to the joke that Eugene made at him and Jackie's expense when it comes to their marriage. And then there was also the Anila robbery thing. I felt bad for Anila. Still don't think she would put her family through that, not once, and I still don't think she would do it twice because she got a little kid. We also saw the women question whether Toya knew that there was a hit out on Anila beforehand, and they said they heard this from Carrie, and this is why Carrie and Toya aren't talking. But honestly, I don't think Toya would risk her freedom and reputation to do something like that. So yes, Anila, you do have to be careful when you insinuate that there's something like that going on, and it was mainly other people in the cast that was insinuating that as well. Y'all have to be very careful because that could easily mess up their reputation, and a lot of times you can't come back from stuff like that. And then there was the Anila and her nanny and her mom thing. I seen on social media a lot of people dislike that Anila, you know, relied on a nanny so much, but she's supposed to be rich. This is stuff they have nannies. I will say it's a little wild that she can't do certain stuff without her, but that that's kind of expected for them to have a nanny to help along the way. But what did irk me is when the nanny said, you know, I want to go back, I want to be with my family, X, Y, and Z, she's leaving. And they kept trying to get her to come back. Didn't she say she want to be with her people? Why y'all doing so much? And I will say that when her mom took over that storyline, I wasn't really here for that either, because sometimes her mom oversteps her boundaries and can definitely work our nerves when she's on the screen. But the nanny came back at the end of the season super quickly, and I was like, so was this a storyline that was like super fake? Because why? She just told y'all she's not coming back because she wanted to be with her family, and all of a sudden she changed her mind and come back really quickly. It was crazy. So lastly, here's some other storylines I want to cover really quickly to wrap this all up. Dr. Simone and her book. It was a cool storyline, but I didn't really see it going far because we know they still have underlying issues. So yeah, put that on hold until y'all fix that. Contessa and the bodybuilding thing, I thought that was cool to see. Contessa looks great, but I will say I still found this as a way for her to try to have a different storyline without bringing up the real issues. Dr. Jackie, of course we didn't get too much from her, but we did learn that, you know, she plans to step back a bit and be home more. So maybe we'll get more from her on the next coming season because she'll have more time since she'll be coming home early. The thing that I can say that I love about Married to Medicine is getting to see the behind the scenes stuff. And I do like that they touch on different topics as well. So we got to see this season also that they discuss why it's like a great time to be a black doctor, and why a lot of times when it comes to our community, why we should have doctors who look just like us. And I can say this was a great topic to touch on. They touch on a lot of different things. So that's another thing that I like, and I do hope we continue to see stuff like this going forward. And I can say the new additions to Quad family with her and her nephew, that was beautiful to see, even though it was on a sad topic. I want to see more of that from Quad and not the other stuff. But here's my overall thoughts. The reunion was good. Did it need 3 parts? No. I can say that the Scott rapping part at the reunion was very cringy, and I think everyone should come back. I don't want to see the Toya versus Quad or Contessa versus Heavenly storyline again. So that's my overall thoughts. Let me know what you guys thought of the season. Also, I want to say that when it comes to people saying stuff that they know aren't true, we gotta stop doing it. We gotta stop doing it. Leave that outside of the coming season. We don't want to see that either. But let me know what you all thought of this video. Let me know what you thought of the season and what you want to see going forward. And I will see y'all really soon.